At a discreet table tucked away in a corner near the window, Barron Trump, the youngest son of the former president, sat with a group of friends. Despite the inevitable spotlight that followed him, Barron was a quiet young man, more comfortable in the company of close friends than in the glare of the public eye. He had grown into a tall, lean figure, his features a blend of his parents', an air of quiet confidence replacing the boyish charm he'd once exuded. Charles Evans, the restaurant manager, a man whose sharp wit was as legendary as his impeccable service, watched the scene unfold from a discreet distance. Decades spent navigating the whims of the city's wealthiest had honed him into a master of his domain. He knew the intricate dance of high-end hospitality, the unspoken rules, the delicate balance between obsequiousness and subtle control. But tonight, something about the young man at the corner table seemed to prick at him. Barron and his friends, a lively mix of personalities, were engaged in animated conversation, their laughter punctuating the gentle murmur of the dining room. The occasional glance from other patrons was inevitable. Some, undoubtedly, recognized him, their eyes widening with a mixture of curiosity and a hint of awe. Others, perhaps, were drawn to the air of quiet confidence that seemed to emanate from him, a stark contrast to the brash persona often associated with his family. Whispers, inevitable and unavoidable, drifted through the air. Speculations about his future, the weight of his family's legacy, the inevitable comparisons, all hung heavy in the air. The evening progressed smoothly, the appetizers disappearing with appreciative murmurs, the wine flowing freely. Then, it happened. A seemingly innocuous incident, yet one that would quickly escalate. Barron, reaching for his water glass, misjudged the distance, his hand colliding with the rim. The glass, filled to the brim, teetered precariously, then plunged to the white tablecloth with a sharp, metallic clang. Water, icy and unforgiving, splashed onto the pristine fabric, spreading outwards in a widening stain. It was a minor mishap, the kind that happens in any bustling restaurant. Yet, Charles, watching from his vantage point, felt a strange sense of satisfaction. An opportunity, he thought, a chance to inject a touch of drama into the otherwise predictable evening. He approached the table with a brisk efficiency, his expression a mixture of concern and a barely concealed amusement. "Ah, Mr. Trump," he intoned, his voice deliberately loud, ensuring it carried across the room. "Such grace runs in the family, I see. Let's hope our floor survives the great flood." The room fell silent. Every eye, it seemed, was now fixed on Barron. His friends, startled by the unexpected outburst, exchanged bewildered glances. The atmosphere, once vibrant and convivial, had suddenly become charged, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Barron, caught completely off guard, felt a flush of embarrassment creep up his neck. "I'm so sorry," he stammered, his voice a low rumble. "It was an accident." Charles, however, seemed determined to press his advantage. "Accidents happen, of course," he continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Especially when one is accustomed to having others clean up the mess." The thinly veiled insult, a direct jab at Barron's privileged background, landed with the force of a well-aimed punch. Murmurs erupted from the surrounding tables, a mixture of disapproval and thinly veiled amusement. Some patrons exchanged disapproving glances, their faces a mask of polite outrage. Others, however, seemed to relish the spectacle, their eyes gleaming with a predatory amusement. Barron, his face now crimson, remained surprisingly calm. "I can clean it up," he offered, his voice regaining its composure. "I'm truly sorry for the inconvenience." Before he could rise from his seat, Julia, one of his friends, a fiery young woman with a quick temper and an even quicker tongue, intervened. "That's enough," she declared, her voice ringing out with a surprising force. "He said it was an accident. There's no need for this show." Charles, taken aback by the unexpected outburst, raised an eyebrow. "And who might you be?" he inquired, his voice laced with a condescending amusement. "Another beneficiary of the Trump empire?" Julia, unfazed by his arrogance, met his gaze with a steely defiance. "I'm someone who knows how to treat people with respect," she retorted, her voice unwavering. "Something you seem to have forgotten tonight." The entire dining room seemed to hold its breath. Charles, for a fleeting moment, was speechless. He had faced down countless demanding patrons, weathered the storms of temper tantrums and unreasonable requests. Yet, this young woman, with her unwavering courage and fierce loyalty, had caught him completely off guard. He considered pushing further, relishing the opportunity to assert his authority. But the growing murmur of disapproval from the surrounding tables, the disapproving glances of the other patrons, gave him pause. "My apologies, young lady," he conceded, his voice a mixture of grudging acceptance and feigned humility. "Sometimes, one's tongue gets ahead of their manners." Julia, satisfied with his subdued response, sat down, her eyes still flashing with indignation. Barron, grateful for her intervention, offered her a small, appreciative nod. The tension, however, lingered in the air, a palpable unease settling over the dining room. Charles, defeated but not entirely subdued, retreated to his station, his ego bruised, his carefully constructed facade of impeccable professionalism shattered. The incident, however, had not gone unnoticed. News of the confrontation spread like wildfire, fueled by the ever-present undercurrent of gossip that permeated the city's social circles. By the next morning, the story had exploded across social media, amplified by the insatiable appetite for scandal and the ever-vigilant eyes of the online world. Headlines screamed about the Trump son's humiliation, the waiter's audacity, and the unexpected hero who had stood up to the establishment. The backlash against Charles was swift and severe. Reservations at the Silver Oak, once a coveted prize among the city's elite, began to dwindle. Patrons, outraged by the manager's arrogant behavior, voiced their displeasure, their social media posts a potent mix of condemnation and moral outrage. The restaurant owner, a shrewd businessman with a keen eye for public perception, called for an emergency meeting. "Charles," he began, his voice grave, "what were you thinking? Our clientele demands discretion, not public displays of disdain." Charles, attempting to defend his actions, claimed it was merely a light-hearted exchange, a playful banter intended to break the ice. But his explanations fell on deaf ears. The damage was done. His reputation, once impeccable, was now tarnished, his career at the Silver Oak hanging by a thread. Barron, meanwhile, remained publicly silent about the incident. He didn't need to defend himself, didn't need to engage in the ensuing media circus. His actions, or rather, his lack of them, spoke volumes. He had faced the unexpected with grace and composure, a stark contrast to the brash persona often associated with his family. The story of the Silver Oak incident continued to simmer, a cautionary tale for those who underestimated the power of public perception and the importance of treating others with respect. For Charles, the fallout was swift and decisive. He was dismissed from his position, his career at the Silver Oak unceremoniously ended. For Barron, the experience was a defining moment. It was a reminder that his name, his family, carried a weight that could not be ignored. But it was also a reminder that his identity was his own to define, that his actions, not his lineage, would ultimately shape his legacy. He continued to frequent restaurants, to dine with friends, to navigate the social landscape of New York City. But the incident at the Silver Oak had left an indelible mark, a reminder that even in the most unexpected of circumstances, grace and composure could be more powerful than any insult. The Silver Oak, once a symbol of exclusivity and refinement, would forever be associated with the incident, a cautionary tale whispered among the city's elite. And Charles Evans, once a master of his domain, would forever be remembered as the manager who had dared to cross a line, who had underestimated the quiet strength of a young man and the unwavering loyalty of his friends.